Hello vinyl collectors. Today I'd like to show you some albums from fictitious groups as well as some novelty albums. And we'll start with a group called the Archies. Here we go. The Archies, of course, was a TV cartoon. And they put out 3 albums. This is the first one, called the Archies in 1968. Which reached number 88 on the Billboard charts. Of course, we have Archie, Betty, Veronica, Reggie, Jughead, and Hot Dog. And with songs like Hot Dog, I Relish You, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Archies. Second album, the Archies. This is the one, I believe, that has Sugar Sugar on it. That went to number 1 on the charts. I think, if I'm right, it's the only time that a fictitious group has reached had a number 1 single on the Billboard charts. That song, Sugar Sugar, was written by let me think if I can remember that person. Andy Kim, I think it was, who went on to have a career himself in pop music. Third album, Jingle Jangle, 1969. That last album was also 1967. This one finished at 125 on the Billboard charts. As well as Sugar Sugar going to number 1, they also had a few other songs that reached the top 100 in the charts, and that's Who's Your Baby at number 40, Bang Shang-Lang at number 22, and Jingle Jangle, which reached number 10, I think. The next group, or fictitious group, is the Banana Splits, who I really don't know too much about. I think this is on the Decca label, and this is Banana Splits, or is it Figgly, Bingo, Drooper, and Snarky? Don't know too much about these guys. Music's okay. I think one song on this actually reached number 96 on the Billboard charts. I think it's the Tra-La song or something. And that album came out around 1969. Right? Yeah, around 1969. The next is the Hardy Boys. If I'm correct, what it was is that at the opening of the show, we saw a live band play a song, but then the show itself was a cartoon. So I never did see the show that much, so I can't say too much. But they had 2 albums, and this show was on ABC, I think in the late 60s, around 69. And this, if you listen to this and you don't know who they were, some of the songs here you would almost think they were the Partridge Family. Some of the songs sound a lot like the Partridge Family. Of course, then we have the Sugar Bears. Of course, how could you miss the Sugar Bears, which is associated with a breakfast cereal. And so we actually get a record right from some sort of breakfast cereal. And I think 2 people associated with this album. One, I believe his name is Mike Setley, who was from the first edition, Kenny Rogers in the first edition. Just want to check out what condition my condition was in. And another performer, singer-songwriter on this album is King Carnes, who would go on later to have her own career in the music industry, a reasonably successful one. Let's see. Well, I'll just show one here. This is just one. They have many albums, but this is their very first album from around 58, 59, the Chipmunks, of course, which was on the Liberty label. I think this is the first album, and I either late 58 or early 59. And on this one is the Chipmunks song, which was the big hit. I think around 4 million copies, which is the biggest selling song by the Chipmunks in all the records that they would subsequently do after this one. So next up, I just want to some couple novelty albums, and we got The Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt-Kickers. First big hit here, Monster Mash. And this was on the charts twice. I think around 63, and then again around 1973 or something. It came back. First time I think it was on the charts #1 for 2 weeks, if I remember correctly, and then made the charts again a decade later. And then there's a spin-off, like someone else doing a Monster Mash around the same time. Try, I guess, capitalize on the hype. I think the original Monster Mash was sort of based on the sort of like a twist song, or Mashed Potatoes, which I think James Brown and a few other performers were doing in the early 60s. So this has the Monster Mash, but then all the other songs are different. And if I remember correctly on this one, there's a couple tracks on side 2 that actually have a pretty decent surf style to it. I guess trying to leverage off the success of Monster Mash, this came out on United Artists label at the Monsters Ball, the Vampires. Same idea, same sort of concept of discussion between a vampire and his helper, whatever, and having a party with a bunch of other monsters. This is actually a pretty decent album. Picked this one up at the flea market a few years ago. I think this one's a little bit collectible, I'm not sure. This is a weird one I found at flea market a few years back. Music for Wild Cats. Tried to look this one up online and I couldn't find any information whatsoever on it. This is presented by, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Carhartes. I think it's a clothing store in the United States. They got some really good bands on this album. Jefferson's Airplane, Liverpool 5, Ronnie and the Daytonas, the Astronauts, the Blue Things, Stained Glass. So I got a pretty good lineup for this album, and I can't find absolutely no information at all on it. Then there was a few albums I was going to show is albums put out by people like Coca-Cola and Pepsi or 7-Up. I guess this is where you would collect bottle cap liners and send in the liners, and they would send you an album. And in this one here, sent by 7-Up, On and Away, they've got a pretty good lineup on here too. Santana, Sly and the Family Stone, Blood, Sweat and Tears, 10 Years After, Janis Joplin, Pacific Gas and Electric. That's a pretty good lineup for a lot of like some West Coast psych bands there. Another 7-Up here. This looks like Columbia. It was being distributed through Columbia Records. Once again, not bad. Redbone, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Mark Lindsay, The Raiders, Gary Puck and Union Gap, Hollies, Chamber Brothers, The Raiders. Good lineup again. Or it's almost like a giveaway album. And this is a copy. I just got two of that one. This one is Pepsi, I think. This is being also distributed through Columbia. We've got the Hollies, Chicago, Santana, Gary Puckett, Aretha Franklin, Sly and the Family Stone, Chamber Brothers, Pacific Gas and Electric. So it's almost a lot of overlap with the 7-Up. Pretty good lineup for pop. There's one. I got to get the Hostess potato chips into it, of course. Love and Spoonful, the Dixie Cups, Jan and Dean, the Chiffons, Everly Brothers, Circle, Donovan, Buckinghams, Drifters. So good, pretty good lineup of artists there. Don't know who distributing this one here. Can't really see. And of course, just to show you, Kentucky Fried Chicken. How can you promise a Christmas album? Well, that's a little bit there on fictional groups and some novelty albums. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.